Jordan, can you sort of dissect what happened on that interception he had?
Yeah, I think they came out in 13. They were doing that to try to block us up, so I ended up matched up on the tight end. I showed blitz, you know what I'm saying? I felt comfortable, getting back to my leverage. And, the boys up front were hunting all night, and, they forced a bad ball, and I was able to capitalize.
And Florida State had a lot of yards on its first series and moved down the field. What were you guys able to do to regroup and sort of refocus after that drive?
Yeah, I mean, Coach Norvell is a great coach. He's somebody that I respect a great deal. My old coach, Coach Dillingham, came up under him, so they have similar offensive philosophies. He's a great coach, a great offensive mind. They got us in some situations that weren't favorable. But ultimately, when you have a guy at the helm like Al Golden, it's not going to take too long for him to figure things out. And Coach was able to settle us down, and we were able to find answers.
Second row on your right, Jackson Neal.
Your guys up front got a lot of pressure today. How does it kind of help you in the back half to have that kind of pressure?
I mean, it's everything. It's everything. I didn't have to work too long or too hard tonight. So, all credit to those guys. They worked their tail off. Coach Walsh does such a great job, just keeping them ready, keeping them dialed. And you saw that tonight, and you've really seen that all year. You know what I'm saying? They make our job as a secondary really, really easy.
And then, Coach, kind of talked about the fans tonight. I mean, what's the difference like playing a night game here at Notre Dame Stadium as opposed to like those 3:30 kickoffs?
Yeah, dude, it was insane. It was insane. I've never experienced or played in a game like that. The energy that the fans brought is so important, man. It helps so much. We were going to be turned up for the game anyways, but, when they come out and they're a part of the game like that, it's awesome. That's what we dream. We dream of atmospheres like that as players. So, yeah, shout out to the fans. It was amazing.
Front row on your left, Tyler Horka.
The Navy game, obviously, personnel-wise, didn't set up for you to play a whole bunch, and then you have a bye week. Just how hungry were you to come out here and play well tonight?
I mean, anytime I can, get in the game and help my team, obviously I'm super excited to do that. But even with the Navy game, what I'm saying, it's all about, Coach talks about doing your role and doing it to the best of your ability. And, that week it wasn't for me to be, big in the game plan, but, just trying to keep morale for the guys and geeked up. I felt involved in that as well. We talk about team glory, so that win felt just as good as this one. It felt, exactly the same. Anytime we're able to pull out a win, it's awesome. But, yeah, anytime you get the opportunity to play, and compete with your friends, it's awesome.
I don't know if you look at the stat sheet after games, but if you see Florida State's passing statistics weren't very good. Do you guys have a collective sense when you're out there, that you're locking another team down, and the secondary-wise, the defensive backs, because it really seemed like you stuck to them like glue tonight.
Yeah, man, it was really the the D-line, man. Honestly, we'd like to take credit for it, but when you got guys pass rushing like Rylie Mills was pass rushing tonight, and then the rest of those guys, it makes it really easy for us. But, DMM, deny my man, that's kind of our creed. That's what we say we're going to do, and, that's our role in the team, so we try to do it to the best of our ability.
Jadarian, how much do you love night games in Notre Dame Stadium, considering you've had a couple big touchdowns here over the last year?
Yeah, I love them. I mean, who doesn't love them? I mean, it's Notre Dame, night game, prime time, everyone's watching. Pretty sure it was the only one we've had this year, so it was a lot of hype going into the game. But we knew we just had to take care of business. Before the game, I talked to Coach Freeman. He was like, the last night home game we had, you broke one against USC or whatever, and then I scored a touchdown. He came up to me and was like, remember I told you? So it was pretty funny.
Take us through that touchdown and the excitement, and did you think you were in before the review?
I thought I was in for sure. Yeah. I didn't want them to take that away. That would have sucked, not going to lie, yeah.
Front row and right in front of you, Tyler Horka.
Another game where you guys get over 200 yards on the ground. Does it feel like every time you go into a game, you guys have a pretty good sense that you're going to be able to get what you want on the ground?
Yeah, when you see what Jeremiah does, what I do, and even Riley, he gets the scrambling or any design runs. Like, we got some guys who can make plays with their feet. So that's the standard now. Every game, get over 200 yards, and we believe we can do it.
You mentioned Riley. What has that been like to play with a quarterback who's been as good at running the football as any quarterback in college football, really?
Just having trust in our guys and knowing that he can extend the drives, and we got another chance. So
Next, we have Rylie Mills. Front row on your left, Jack Sobel.
Riley, it seemed like after Howard went down, you really took your game to another level. Like, what was going through your mind there or when he went down, and then when he got those 2 sacks right after?
Yeah, I think, when Howard went down, for me, I was just gutted for him because I know how much he put in this week and, how much he makes everyone better. So I think for me, that kind of gave me a little, frustration. We saw a guy go down, which is you never want to see. So I think, hopefully that led to that. But, so I just want to make sure Howard was okay. And then, he was great. I think after that, he just, he was a leader on the sideline and, talked to the young guys, talked to me, and kind of gave everybody just words of encouragement.
To finish with 8 sacks and allow only 3 points, what kind of a performance was this from the defensive line?
From the defensive line, I think from the whole defense, it was dominant. And, in my opinion, I think that just kind of shows, when the front end and the back end are on the same page. And, when you see the back 7 is covering like they did, it's hard to get completions on us, And I think that's one of the great things about our defense is, we feed off each other. So, the D-line's doing really good. The corners, they're coming up to us being like, you guys are killing it. This is great. And then vice versa. They're getting picks, and we're like, dude, this is great. Make them hold the ball. I think it just works both ways.
Front row on your right, Pete Sampson.
Riley, can you give us a sense of how easy or difficult it is to be locked in for a week of practice when the team you're facing is 1-8?
Yeah, I think, shout out to Coach McCullough, who was the coach of the week, and he really put the emphasis on that this is a rivalry game. So you can kind of throw those records out. And I think when you watch their team, you see the talent they have. They are a good team. They have really good players. And, unfortunately for them, you see a lot of times that, sometimes, guy doesn't make the catch, guy misses the tackle. Just those little things they seem to be kind of a step away from. But they're a really good team. So I think our thought when we win this week was how we got to beat them on Tuesday and Wednesday before we even get, to the game.
Of all the sack celebrations you guys have, what is your favorite one to do?
Sometimes I kind of black out, so I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Usually I just like to, I think my favorite one is probably the Costco guys. They do the big boom dance. I was a big fan of that. They didn't shout us out, but I thought it was so cool. So, we'll keep going with that.
On the left, second row, Tyler James.
So you brought the boom tonight, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I think as a defense, we brought the boom.
Coach Freeman recently talked about how you and Howard inside have really allowed the defensive effort to really grow in terms of getting sacks, even with losing Jordan Botello and Boubacar Traore. How have you guys felt like you've had to step up, knowing that maybe the defensive ends were some new faces and those guys were working through some things?
I think our defense is, it's really a next man up mentality. So I don't think it's really, guys going down and that changes our thing. Honestly, I think from the first, start of the season, me and Howard knew that we had to step up our game. And, clearly, we saw, it was evident there were times where it wasn't enough. And I think that just sparked a fire on both of us that, we have another level we can hit. And kind of goes back to, why did we come back in the first place? We came back to be better versions of ourselves and play for a dominant defense. So, I think we just had a fire in our ass and we, kind of got to put it together.
Some young defensive linemen got in late in the game, some that haven't even played yet this season. What is it like to see them get some opportunities out there tonight?
Yeah, I think that's just the ultimate reward. When you get the young guys to go in, I think that means that, as a defense, we completely shut them down, and now we have the ability to get those young guys in, which is kind of invaluable reps. You can get all the practice reps you want, but you got bright lights out there, and the young guys are getting a real situation against a real football team. You're gonna see guys grow and get better. So it's great for us, and I think it's just it's really just a celebration to see them out there.
We've had different receivers step up various weeks. It felt like it was a long time coming for Jaden Greathouse to have one of these games. You're able to find him for 3 third-down conversions. Has he just been building towards it? I know the offense is a function of who the ball goes to on that day, but it seems like Greathouse has been waiting to break out.
Yeah, he's a guy that you just got to give him a chance at it. I mean, I've seen throughout the year, every time I've thrown it up to him, it's either, a PI or he's coming down with it. So it's just to get to our tabs, both of those plays weren't designed. They were actually runs, but we checked out of it, checked to our cover 0 check, and he made great plays, man. It's incredible.
I know Mitchell Evans' catch was overturned. He had the touchdown as well. Is this the first you've really seen the true Mitchell Evans back from injury? He's now 1 year beyond his ACL tear.
Right, yeah. It was pretty impressive. Both of those catches, I remember I threw it, and I was like, oh, shoot. And then he just comes down with it. So those are the type of plays that as a quarterback you just fall in love with, for your guys to be able to go, make plays. And I always tell them, I don't care if you catch it, just make sure they don't. And they've been doing a good job of that.
Front row on your left, Jack Sobel.
Riley, can you take us through your first touchdown run? What were you seeing there, and what goes through your mind when you get that kind of space?
Yeah. I don't know, not much really. I just kind of run until they tackle me. But actually, there were some pretty good blocks on that play, so I'll give the credit to those guys. I know Chris Mitchell made a big-time one down at the goal line, so it was a good play by them.
Even when it got to 21-3 at halftime, and when it got to a point where the game was pretty obviously over, like how important was it to just keep your foot on the gas and keep executing in the second half?
Yeah, that's something. I mean, we've been preaching all year: start fast, stay fast, and in a game like this against that type of team in a colder weather environment at home, it's very important. I mean, they got a lot of talent out there now. Like you look across the ball, I mean, every single one of those guys are NFL prospects, so to speak. So we knew that their record says one thing, but these guys are really talented football players, and we had to just keep playing Notre Dame football.
Front row on your right, Eric Hansen.
Hey, Riley, I don't know how much you guys do ones-on-ones this deep into the season, but even in camp, what is it like facing Rylie Mills in a practice?
Oh, it's awful. Well, actually, our guys do a good job of protecting me, first and foremost, but he's a guy that just, I mean, look at him. He's a freak, and, just his presence alone will make you, tap your feet a little more in the pocket and get a little antsy. But I mean, for him to have that performance today, I usually don't watch the defense, but you couldn't help but look up. He's on the jumbotron every 5 minutes, so very happy for him. And he's an incredible person too. I don't know if he gets that much spotlight or whatever, but he's a really really good person, and I'm very happy for him.
You guys had 52 points. You had 215 passing yards, and yet Coach Freeman said, we're greedy people. We're going to celebrate, but we want to get better. So what would that look like in the passing game? What would improvement look like for you, do you think, moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I remember walking off the field, and there was just so much left out there for me in the passing game specifically. I think I'm going, where I'm supposed to go with the ball the majority of the time. Sometimes just get a little ignorant and greedy here or there. Just take what the defense gives you, and that's something that, I'm still getting better at. I feel like I go one game and I'm good, and then you get greedy. So we're working. These guys are open. You just got to get them the ball. So I'm not too concerned about it.
Front row right in front of the podium, Tyler Horka.
You mentioned not really watching Notre Dame's defense when you guys are on the sideline getting ready for your next time to go back out there, but I'm curious, as someone whose job it is to avoid sacks, when you see how many sacks your guys had tonight, what is that like to just kind of comprehend?
Yeah, it's a huge difference in the ball game, and I gave up a bad sack today. It's my fault. My eyes weren't in the right spot. We were in a 5-man protection, and they brought one off the edge. It's my fault, unacceptable. But to look across the field and see that many minus plays, man, I don't know what they're drawing up because we don't get to play them, but I know in fall camp they were drawing up something crazy every single day. So it's no surprise to me that they're getting in the backfield very often.
As a quarterback, I asked Marcus Freeman the same question too. When you guys score in situations where it really seems like you need to score, what is that like as someone who's kind of facilitating the drive to score the touchdown right before the half and then take advantage of the interception as well?
Yeah, I think you kind of seen it all year. If the other team goes up early, all right, boom, we know we got to score this drive. We've been able to do that. Whenever the situation may be, you go back all the way back to A&M. That fourth quarter drive was a big time. We needed points on the board, and we were able to do that. So to be able to do that in times when we need to is really good, but it's the stagnant times, the time after 2, 3 and outs and we're winning and we don't need a touchdown, but it would definitely help us out a lot. Those are the times where I got to bring the same amount of juice and urgency to execute every play.
Riley, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. God bless.